Hey guys, got another really cool find on a Duramax bus here. This one was probably one of the most interesting I've ever seen, and it's quite an easy fix too. Basically, it's a brand new bus. It's only got 3,000 miles on it. The thing is brand spanking new. And drivers were complaining about every once in a while they'd get a surging and a rough idle. In other words, they'd be at a stop sign or a stoplight, they come to a stop and the bus would just surge like somebody was tapping the gas pedal or something. And we couldn't duplicate it. Finally was able to duplicate it. So I noticed that the problem only happened when it was warm, and it only happened when I was at a stop and had it in gear. Put it in park, it'd run fine. And things got even more interesting when I turned the air conditioner on and the cooling fan was commanded on. The problem went away as well. So I'm looking at all this different data with GDS2, such as fuel pressure, accelerator pedal, EGR data. Can't find anything wrong. So I command the cooling fan on with the scan tool, quit surging, turn the cooling fan back off, surging comes right back. So I'll show you what I found here. This was an amazing find. It's right under my nose, but still cool nevertheless. Right here is your alternator bracket, secondary alternator. It's the one that sits on the passenger side of the engine. And what was happening, this circuit right here, coming out of the radiator fan housing, is the control for the cooling fan clutch. Command it on, command it off, cooling fan runs, cooling fan slips. Take a look at this wiring harness here. You can see where it was shorted and rubbing. The problem was whoever did the bus portion of this express cutaway didn't properly reroute this wire harness when they put it all back together. I guess they just forgot to plug it back into the little hole there. But what happened was they just ran it behind the transmission dipstick tube there, and as you can see, it shorted out against the pulley, just like so. Now where things got interesting was whenever the cooling fan was commanded on, it would blow this wire harness away from the pulley, like so. Whenever the fan turned back on, or back off rather, the wire harness settled down, started rubbing against the pulley, and every time it would short out to ground, it sent a false reading to the engine control module that the cooling fan was commanded on. And because it was bouncing around on that pulley, the ECM was constantly getting these erratic signals that the cooling fan was on, off, on, off. And since the cooling fan is a small load, it increases the engine speed ever so slightly to compensate for that small load. And that's why the engine was surging. As soon as I pulled this wire harness back, the surge went away completely, and we haven't had a problem since. So now all I have to do is repair this wiring here. Won't take too long. Reroute it under the low side AC line there, put it all back together, and this bus will be back on the road again. So here's a line graph. As you can see, that small bump is where I put it in gear, and it stayed steady, and that engine load line is perfectly smooth. Before, when the wire was shorting out, this was jumping all over the place, up to 50, 60, jumping up and down, and as such the engine speed was jumping all over the place too. So I fixed the short on the cooling fan wiring harness there. No more false signal to the ECM, and this thing runs smooth as glass once again.